Saturday, October 20th, 2018. I'm Justin Castelli, and this is
Leo Castelli.
And this is All About Your Benjamins and your weekly mixtape and weekend review video. This may be one of the last weekends until next spring that we're out here recording. Why is that, Leo?
Because it's really cold.
It's pretty chilly out here. The sun's coming up later, so we may be back in the office next week. But we're out here one more week, braving the cold to bring you this week's news. With the market volatility this week, you would have thought that there was a lot of news to talk about, but really, the news impacting your planning and investments really isn't that great. So we got a few things to chat about, and then we'll let you get to your weekend. The first one is an up and a down week on Wall Street this week, continuing over from last week. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, just basically some tug and war between inflation fears, rising interest rates, geopolitical issues, things going on overseas, and then you have positive earnings coming from the companies. So I don't have that crystal ball. I think it's reasonable to expect that we continue to see this type of volatility and changing from day to day based off of some headlines until some of these things resolve themselves one way or another, for good or worse. While the U.S. markets have lost their luster in the last few weeks, at least kind of not being at all-time highs and coming back some, international markets continue to struggle relative to the U.S. And there was an article this week about Brexit and the fact that this conversation is ongoing. The original vote was back in 2016. It's supposed to begin next year, and we still don't have everything finalized. So I just bring this up in that we believe in diversified portfolios, a globally diversified portfolio at that, right? We want to have international exposure.
Yeah.
We don't know when these things are going to change. It would make sense to expect that with these types of headlines from Brexit in Italy and France, Saudi Arabia, all these things going across the globe, tariffs and trade war talks with China, that maybe internationals continue to struggle in the short term. We don't know when those things change, which is why I think you still keep that exposure in your portfolio. So don't be surprised when you're looking at quarterly reviews, performance, that your international funds may be struggling a little bit. That's just kind of where we are right now. That's part of the game of investing and having a diversified portfolio. We're going to stick with international markets. On Wednesday, our neighbors to the north in Canada legalized marijuana for recreational use. So this is a trend I think is the direction that the U.S. is heading, but this will give other countries a chance to see how a larger country allowing marijuana use for recreational handles it, how things go, and what the implications are. So this may be a little watch and see for us down here, and everything that I see is pointing to that direction for our country as well. So not anything major to your planning, but it was kind of a big deal on the news on Wednesday. And finally, an American Idol filed for bankruptcy this week. Sears is filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, I've watched, not personally, but I've seen the demise of Sears over time. I remember being younger and it being a big part of the mall, and as time has gone on and the years have passed, it's become lesser and lesser, and I don't even think it's around in our mall anymore. So they filed for bankruptcy. The sad part to this, obviously, is a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. Hopefully they're able to find new places, but what I think this represents, along with like Toys R Us's struggle, is big businesses that were successful not keeping up with the times, not changing with technology, thinking that they're too big, not too big to fail, but that they'll continue to succeed just because they always have. So what always has worked in the past may not always work in the future, and I think we use these situations that in our lives and as well as in business to continue to keep up and improve and adapt with things going on. So that's it for this week in review. Be sure to check out the articles below. And be sure to check out this week's podcast on All About Your Benjamins, the podcast. I got a couple of great episodes with Dr. Daniel Crosby and James Clear. I'm very excited to have them on, so check those out as well. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.